hardest part for me with this whole thing would probably be my city picking, right? My due diligence. I would probably say for me, that is one of the hardest parts for me, is because you don't want to go into an area where you obviously know there's a lot of competition. You're trying to give yourself the best chance possible to make the best decision so that it's easy to rank. There's a lot of people running ads. There's a lot of people that are hungry to grow. And I have been on the opposite side of the spectrum where I picked the wrong city. I've done everything I possibly could, and there were no leads coming in. I couldn't find a business owner, and it is the most frustrating thing in the entire world. So that's probably the hardest thing for me. How I overcame that was making decisions faster. I think being willing to try it, and if it doesn't work, drop it and move on. Okay, because at the end of the day, if you know anything about what we're doing, you know that sometimes the numbers look really good and then you'll go into a city and it actually isn't. So you kind of just have to try it and say, okay, this was working or it's not working, and be quick to make decisions. Obviously do your homework. Don't just like say, oh, this area looks like it might be good, let's do it. But like actually doing your homework, but then be willing to say, okay, this city's not bringing in what I need it to, and stop being so emotionally attached to picking your first city and niche, right? Like I remember the first one I picked and I was like, no, dude, I gotta make it work. Like, even though it was cold in the winter, the people that lived there, I lived there for a while, and the area was just kind of cheap, right? Like they didn't want to buy the service that I was providing, or they did, but they didn't want to pay that much for it. And so it was just hard. So it's kind of a poorer area, whatever. But that's the whole fact, is you have to be willing to move quickly. And it's hard because I think sometimes we take that, like we treat this as a business, right? And you think, okay, I got to make the right decision. I need the money. I'm in this predicament for a reason, and I need to move fast. And so it's hard to sometimes be willing to let that go. But promise you guys, if you guys will just move fast, stop worrying about what other people think or how your website looks, because I know I am the same way, and I'm not super analytical, but like I really do want to make sure I take my time. So take your time on the due diligence part. Make sure you pick the right city that meets the criteria, and you guys will get a lot better and get a lot more things accomplished and have clients for longer if you do so. So today we're going to be talking about someone that is making around $8,000 a month. They have commission deals. They've switched them over to flat fee deals. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that and how you go about that. Basically just talk about business and how we can excel our agencies and make them better. So we're going to let them on and we're going to ask some questions. So if you guys have anything you want to add, let me know. All righty. Mayo, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing really well. Where are you located?
I'm in Henderson, Nevada, right outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for being willing to hop on. I know you have been doing really well, and we have been recognizing how well you've been doing, and we're like, we have got to get you on a call and kind of pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
So that'll be good. So Mayo, how much are you making right now from lead generation or even commission or whatever? Just how much are you making?
So I'm not taking commission deals anymore, and I've moved all my commission deals over to either a flat fee, and some sites I'm still working on. So they're paying per call until I get the site where it needs to be. And I do weekly billing. So I'm at 2,000 a week right now.
Gotcha. I love it. So basically my teaser post, if you guys seen my fat horse, I was just talking about how we can get from commission to flat fee. How was that transition for you? Like, how many did you have at one point?
I'm not sure the number of people we had. So I have a partner in some business deals as well. So once I had joined Nick's program, her and I kind of had a conversation as well and try to move the clients we had over that were paying per call and move them over to a flat fee to kind of make the process a little bit more smooth. We literally had like one client who would like, because billings on Fridays for both the business her and I share and my own personal business. And we would have like this one client that would like go through the whole call list, and this call wasn't good, and this person didn't answer and it was just so time consuming and like soul sucking. And we finally got him moved over to a flat fee, and we never hear from him anymore. It just stopped all of that nitpicking of the calls and the quality of the calls and leads and whatever. I had another client who is my biggest client. He pays me $1,000 a week, and he was paying me commission, and I generate about, on average, between, I mean, you know, it varies per month, so maybe about 150 leads, averages 200 up to 270 leads a month.
Wow.
And it's in San Francisco, and it's highly competitive market. And he was paying me commission, and I just knew he wasn't paying me what the jobs, the amount that I was producing. I knew he wasn't paying me what I needed to be paid. And so once I joined the program, I was like, so this is how it's going down. So I can't run a business off of commission. He drug his feet for a while, but I was like, I just like you wouldn't be able to. I had to go like back and like reread the text messages I sent him, and I'm like, just like you wouldn't be able to run a business off commission, I can't either. And he drug his feet, and he's like, well, I don't know. And then what happens if the leads are slow? And you know, he just drug his feet for a while. And finally, I was just like, I did the pullback method, and I was like, if you can't move over to a weekly payment, and I showed him like the lead calculator, I was like, I totally get it. If this is not a good fit for you, I understand. I've got to move on though, if this isn't something that's for you. So he drug his feet for a little bit more, and then finally we agreed on $1,000 a week.
Dang. So
Yeah.
So do you get them on a Zoom call? Like, did you just do this over the phone? Like, how long were you doing the commission deal before you transitioned this?
So I had a client previously, and I was building other lead generation sites around the area, around the San Francisco Bay Area. And when COVID hit, they totally backed out. So I had them on a lead generation site. I was building a website for them. I was doing SEO for them, and they totally just like, no. They're like, when COVID hit, they're like, this area is being hit the worst. They ended up hiring like, you know, people from like India to do their SEO. So I had nothing, and I was producing 3 other sites at that time. So I actually found this guy on Groupon, and I just reached out to him and called him and was like, you know, hey, are you interested in more business? I have these websites that are producing. And he was all over it. He was totally for it. So because it was during COVID and leads were really iffy, I let him pay me a commission to just kind of be able to lock him in. And then once COVID was lifted in California, then that's where I felt like, because the leads were just taking off, like I said, there was like 1 month that was like 270 leads. I felt comfortable like transitioning him over. I knew the value was there, and I knew the work was there. And he even was like, the quality of leads you're sending me are really good. So I knew I could just move him over into, I knew he wanted it. I mean, he was like texting me one day, and he was like, I'm coming to Las Vegas. He was like, do you know where I can buy a Rolex watch? Like,
You're like, yeah.
I found you on Groupon. Now you're buying Rolex watches.
That's so funny, dude.
So because I had a relationship with him, everything was through text and phone calls.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's cool that you did that. So when you first sold him, was it a phone call or was it a?
It was a phone call.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you know what he looks like now, right? Like, have you like did you Groupon? What is that actually? I don't even know if I quite understand what that is.
So it's like an online coupon place where people could like find cheap deals. So for business owners, you have to pay for Groupon, and then you're also discounting your services. So it's like a hit on top of a hit for a business owner, but it, you know, it helps get your name out there. So, you know, I think about that for him now, and I just think about, you know, 200 leads a month, like how life-changing is that for his business?
Yeah, I bet he dropped Groupon like that.
Oh yeah, he did.
That's awesome. So, what was so that was one of them. What niches have you gone into, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what are some niches that you really like, and some that maybe you don't?
Um, so that one is actually a party bus and limo site that I had built eons ago,
Mhm.
in 2015. So it has like a lot of Google credibility behind it because it's a little bit more aged. And
Mhm.
then I went with him and did a Napa Valley limousine and party bus, and then like a Fremont and an Oakland. I have a client about 650 a week right now, and I do hoarding, crime scene cleanup, and biohazard.
Okay.
Um, that one's really interesting. What else do we have? We have some roofing clients, asbestos. I'm working on closing a charter bus site for San Francisco right now. That one's really interesting. It's very competitive, but it's a high ticket, so I'm hoping to close that one at 1,000 a week as well. And we have like a landscape designer.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you got all sorts of niches. That's cool.
Yeah.
What was the hardest one for you? Like, whether it was finding a business owner, whether it was due diligence, like what was the kind of the hardest niche that you found out of those?
Roofing tends to be a little bit tough. And I think a lot depends on the area and the business owner. And I'm one of those people that I commit to my bad decisions, like you were just saying earlier, to like let them go. I won't let them go. I'm so stubborn. And I'm like, I'm going to sell this and I'm going to rank it in the #1 position.
Yeah,
And I'm going to generate leads and I'm going to find a business owner. So,
I totally get it. Well, it's hard when like you're like, dude, I'm like, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to like give up. Like, I'm just kind of like
right.
that guy that's like, I want to be resilient, and like I want to make sure, like, if you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it.
Right. That's exactly how
So
I feel. So I
yeah.
have some other sites that I'm working on right now, getting sold as well, which is like a demolition site. I have some fencing sites. What else do I have? Another crime scene cleanup. So yeah, I'm kind of like all over the place on what niches I'm in. I just want something high ticket. I don't want to mess around with like, you know, chump change.
Yeah.
I want like between 750 to like 1,200 a week. So that's what I'm trying to work on and focus on and maximize on.
So when did you join the group? Like, were you in the art of pre-selling at one point? Like, how did you come kind of like introduce yourself to the group?
So I was in another group with Nick,
Okay.
where we both learned lead generation, and he was posting in that group all the time, and I would just see it come up on my feed. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Where he's like making this good of money. So there was like a transition period where um a lot of the people in that group were like, oh, I'm making 30 grand a month, I'm making 40 grand a month, but they were making it selling the program. They weren't making it off of local lead generation.
Mm,
And we were having a ton of GMB issues. And I had a moment where I was like, I'm done with lead generation. So I got into real estate and I started selling real estate here in Las Vegas. And then I wasn't quite happy doing that. It's not the lifestyle I want. Like I'm home, I like to be home with my kids all day long. They're homeschooled. I like to do activities. We like to travel. So it just wasn't, doing real estate was so stressful and it was so time consuming, and I'm always on my phone and you're just doing that one sale, right? So I was just sitting there and like it came up on my news feed and I'm like, what the heck is Nick doing where he's making this much money on lead generation? So I clicked his profile and then I saw like the top of his Facebook, like the art of pre-selling. And so I went and joined the group. And then I just started watching what people were doing in there. And I was like, oh my God, lead generation's not dead. I'm like, I'm making a comeback. I'm going back to lead
yeah,
gen.
that's great. So have you completely stopped doing real estate now? Like, are you into this full time, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So I finished up a last transaction a couple of months ago and I've just put it back on the back burner, and just focused full time on lead gen again. Just, it was able to like give me belief that I can make a full time living and career off of lead gen and have the freedom that I want to have doing lead gen over like the stress of real estate. So, it was like there's like a few things that clicked in for me. So we do one sale of lead gen that could pay us, like the one client I have pays me $52,000 a year. Or I could sit there and do constant sales over and over and over for real estate and always have to be selling to get the next deal. Where lead gen just gives you a lot more freedom, and you do that one sale. And if you have a high ticket client, you're just going to get paid month in and month out. So that was just like a turning point for me. And then joining the group as well, where I realized that, there was a better strategic way to do lead generation, which I kind of felt like I needed. So I've joined several like lead generation groups, and it's kind of like, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this. And it was just too overwhelming. I'm like, yeah, I could do all of these things.
But tell me what I need to do.
Right. So what I really liked with Nick was that it was like, do this, do this, do this, and you get these results. And that was like, I needed something like more simple for my brain than all of the other options of things that you can be doing.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and that's the thing is, I think for me, I'm the same way. Like and the fact that he was like, if you follow this process to a T, like if you literally can, like, and I love the analogy that he uses, like, bro, you have all the ingredients, and if you can put as many ingredients in this bowl or whatever, like you're gonna have a better chance of closing this deal. And so it like made sense to me. And so I tried to hit the points. And the first time I did it, I got a deal, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it works. Like it's not just Nick that can do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So
like
rewarding.
yeah, for sure. So what was the hardest part for you? Like this whole process, like what was it? Was it the selling? Was it the due diligence? Like what was your hardest thing?
Both of those are challenging for me. I think the really good thing about real estate was that it got me very comfortable on the phone, on Zoom calls, and selling. So that was like a really good point for me. Like I said, I commit to my bad decisions. So I have pre-built lead generation sites that are ranking and producing leads. And instead of just dumping them, I'm like, no, I'm going to keep pushing this, and I'm going to get these sold no matter what I need to do. So I think that was beneficial, having a little bit more background in sales. And then with the course as well, like focusing on sales instead of, I was very into the technical stuff, very into building the websites, getting the backlinks, doing the citations, like all the techie stuff. And, after a few of the lives we've gone through, I've actually hired VAs. So I'm learning to, if I really want to grow and build this to what my dream was when I joined lead generation in 2014, I need to start outsourcing. So I've picked that up. I have a designer, a website designer, and then I have 2 content writers. So I was like, just start out small, just start out with like what you can do to grow and start growing it to the next step. So my focus for me is I want to focus more on sales. I have like a few areas that are hard for me to let go. Like I mean, not that I guess it matters, but I've gotten like really good at like keyword research, and which has just really helped in like SEO terms. And I have one of my VAs who's like, I can do this, and I'm like really scared to like let that go. And I keep trying to tell myself like they could be better at it than me, so it's okay to like let this go and let somebody else take that on, and you focus more on getting more of the other sites that I already have sold.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Well, and I think, I mean, I guess you could say that the hard things that were hard things maybe aren't now because you've matured more in your business, right? I bet like a year ago, something else was more challenging than whatever. So that's really cool. Well, and I think for a lot of people, and I bet a lot of people that are watching this have a problem with like letting go of things. Like I bet there's so many people that are in the same boat as us where they're like, I put so much work into this, like I'm this close, like I have the one pager, I have the ads, like I've already spent $1,000, and they're like so frustrated that they won't let it go. And if they would, they'd be so much more ahead.
Right. I agree.
And so
that's something for myself that I have to work on too.
So like just like going back to that question, what was like, why is it hard for you to let go? Like, what is it in your mind that's like telling you like you should keep trying? Like why?
I'm super competitive, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize that until, like, being in lead generation, and so, like, even the limo site, I remember being with, like, a group of other marketers, and we were renting houses and, traveling, and everyone's like, "You're number 7, just let it go, just be okay with that," and I was like,
Like,
"Okay, yeah," like, number 7 on Google for, like, a highly competitive, um, business with, like, I don't know, what is there, like 1 or 2 million population in San Francisco? I'm like, "Yeah, okay, 7's good." And then I'm like, "No, fuck that." I'm like, "I am going to be in the top position." Like, I just can't, like, I have to keep I'm just one of those people that, like, really pushes myself, and I'm like, "I committed to this, so I need to keep going and do what I need to do to make sure I succeed in this business."
yeah.
And I think that's where I struggled. I even talked with your brother about this. I struggled with letting real estate go
Mhm.
because I worked really, really hard in that business. And, there's no sometimes there's nothing really sexy about lead generation, right? There's nobody
Oh,
clapping for you. Nobody knows like what you're doing. Nobody knows like when I'm up to like 1 o'clock in the morning working. There's just not that like glory behind it, and you get that like in real estate, like everybody's clapping for you, everybody knows when you've done a sale, everybody knows how much money you've made, everybody knows everything.
mm,
And so it was a really hard transition to kind of let that one go and be like, I can't run 2 businesses, I'm running myself into the ground, and financially it's very expensive, so I have to choose one over the other. And I was like, I had to like do some like self reflection, and like lead gen makes me happy. This is what gives me and my children the lifestyle that I want. Like I never wanted them to be in daycares or schools. Like I wanted us to be able to travel. I wanted us to be able to experience life. And it was really, really hard for me to be like, it's okay to let this go
mhm.
and focus on what it is you really want to do and what makes you really happy. And still, I haven't let my license go or anything like that. So I still have moments where I'm like, no, I need to go all in on real estate. And I'm like, no, don't
I know.
focus, not the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah,
So I think for me, just because I don't want any part of failure. So I think for me, that's what makes it really hard for me to let things go.
yeah.
And maybe had I let some other websites go or stuff like that, I maybe would have been able to move further ahead quicker. Um, but it's just like I just have a hard time letting go of stuff.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Well, and I think, well, and I know that I have a problem with the same thing. I think you look at some other people and you're like, wow, they're killing it at this thing or whatever, and you're like, well, maybe
Right,
I'm in the wrong thing because I haven't hit it big yet. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And it's hard, but it's so true. And I think the more that we can just be all in with one thing and stop worrying about like, the shiny object syndrome, whatever, the better we'll become. And there was something else I was gonna say. Nick always said, he said most of the time the most like I don't think unsexy is a word, but like the most like non-attractive business models are the one that make the most money. You know what I'm saying? Like not all the time, but like there's a lot of things that we do in this business model. Like if you told someone, they'd be like, what is that? Like that's crazy. You're making that. Like I didn't even know what my brother did for 8 years, and like it was all the same. I just didn't even know. I
that's
knew
how
it
my
was,
whole family is too. They're like,
yeah.
even my mom was. They're like, "What does your daughter do?" She's like, "I don't know. She like builds websites or something." I'm like,
I
"That's not
know.
what I do."
I know. It's so fun. And that's the thing. Like you tell people and they don't get it. And it's like,
Right,
okay, well, it's wide open. That's one thing. And two, it's like, yeah, it's not the most glamorous, but like the
right,
money's glamorous. Like Nick always talks about that
yeah,
in like posts and stuff. He's like, how to look sexy and like how to do all these things with like what this is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I don't know. Like yeah, to me, like it's not like the most glamorous thing. Like it's not like, oh, I
right,
do lead gen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
right. It's
glamorous.
not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. But it's like the money is what makes it so awesome, and like the business model, it checks all the boxes and
It
stuff.
does. And the freedom. For me,
Yeah.
freedom's a big, big thing.
It's
I
so
wanted like I've just even like the past year, maybe year and a half, we've like done some adventures where I'm like, I can't even believe this is life. Like life is
uh,
so cool right now. Like, and even some of the things my kids get to see, I'm like, do you know how lucky you are? Like My mom worked her butt off and we never traveled anywhere. I never went anywhere. She never had time to do anything. And someone was like, do you guys know how lucky you are to like have this life experience?
Yeah,
And I just always think like without this, like if I had to work a typical 40, 50-hour week, we wouldn't be able to have the life experiences that we've had.
exactly.
So
It's
for me,
not
that's
only
just like,
benefiting. Yeah, it's not only benefiting you, but it's benefiting your whole family. That's the cool thing.
right. Yeah. I love
That's
it.
awesome. Cool. Well, let me see what we got here for questions then. I asked everyone what the hardest thing about this business model was, so hopefully we got a few answers here.
Okay.
Um, someone said due diligence. Yes, definitely. That's I would say everyone at one point struggles with due diligence.
Yep. I
Aaron said
still do, even moving forward.
uh
So it's still something I need to keep working on.
yeah. No, yeah, just and I think we always can get better at it. I think like sometimes you get lucky and you get a good one, and then the next time you get a bad one, you're like, well, I thought I had it figured out. Like
Exactly.
it's tricky. Um guys, it looks like you guys don't have any problems because only one person said due diligence. So you guys better be getting deals then if you're watching my live. Um Casey said I'm trying to pay attention, but wait, I'm confused what he said. I don't know. Okay, how to handle how do you handle having no fear of loss or using pullbacks while not being let's see. How do you handle in quotes having no fear of loss or using pullbacks while not being a turnoff? So I'm guessing he's saying like how do you just like be confident enough to be willing to do the pullback? Like because it's scary. Like if it's your first
It's
deal, like
so
you don't want to be
scary.
overbearing, right?
Right. So we did have like one client um who freaked out on doing flat fee. It was just so one of the roofing was just not having it. So roofing's very seasonal. During the winter, we have some $3,000 weeks with them. And then, during the summer, it's just a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Flat fee was not a good fit for them in their head, which in the long run probably would have been more beneficial for their business because they wouldn't be having $3,000 weeks during wintertime.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely get scared, but at the same time, I know the value that it brings to a business owner and how life-changing it is for their business. And I've had another business before where I did massage therapy. And I just think if I had leads back then, I wouldn't have been working for spas that paid me like $20 a massage. I would have been able to like kill it in that business had I had leads. So I know what the value it is for the business owner. And I'm like, this is a lot of value. And I really strive to go above and beyond and generate more than what we agreed to. I want to do the best for them. And I'm like, so if they don't want to be on a flat fee, I know there's somebody else who will, even though I'm scared. Like I'm scared to like lose that income. But I'm also like, I'm not going to take less than what I deserve. I've worked hard and worked a lot of long hours to get these sites going. And I just think it will be beneficial for anybody or any business owner who wants to really grow their business.
Yeah.
We're the lifeline for business owners, and we really have to look at it that way. Like we're doing them a service. We help them put food on the table for their family.
Yeah.
When people are paying for Google ads or doing Home Advisor or Groupon, those things are really hard. They're highly competitive. I had one client who ran Google ads and his competitors would just click on his ads and run his ad spend up. So, actually having like quality leads who are interested in their services can be life-changing for a business owner, even though we think about it from our perspective, like, oh, I want to get this flat deal and I want to get this per lead, or I want to get this amount of commission, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's also really life-changing for a business owner to have consistent business, so they could put food on the table for their family. So you kind of have to have that perspective of it as well, even though it's super scary sometimes. And you're like, what if they're like, no, I'm not doing this and I'm just not going to do business with you? You kind of just have to move forward, even though you're afraid.
Yeah. I agree. And I think knowing like being like you like this phrase has never been more true. You fake it till you make it, because a lot of these deals that you get, like you have zero confidence. You are so desperate for your first deal, and they can smell it from a mile away. They're like, dude, this person,
Commission breath.
yeah, dude, they are coming out to me with their dragon breath and just trying to sell me so hard. And it's
Right.
like I respect the guys, even people that try to sell use like us sometimes, like when they really are just like, yeah, I got this product. They show me the results. They tell me everything like this is how it works, like everything that we're doing. But they're just like, they step back and they're playing that hard to get. For whatever reason, the human nature, we want it more. We want what we can't have. And it's like, if we can just like, I know this first deal is the hardest because you don't know what we're saying. Like you're like listening to us talk, but you haven't gotten your first deal, and you're like, I get it, but like it doesn't make sense, right? But like when you start talking to business owners, you slow down. When you start talking slower, when you start like asking them more questions rather than like you feel like they're interrogating you, and you turn the tables, that's when I feel like things start to actually go somewhere, you know?
And you have to take control over the conversation, or lead it, control like by leading where the conversation's going, so
Exactly.
that, like I said, so it doesn't turn in all about you and your business, and it turns into more about what's beneficial for them.
Exactly. And I had this happen. I've had this happen plenty of times where people will ask me this. They're like, "So, what is the price?" And we know like you shouldn't share the price till you get on the Zoom call, because if
Right.
you tell them the price, they're gonna drop you so fast.
Right.
So I remember this happened the first time, and I caved because I was like, "Dude, I don't know what to say. Like, I can't just say." I don't know. Like I was just so I told him, and then immediately he just was like, "Nah, I'm not interested." I was like, "Oh, okay." So the next time it happened, I remember he's like, "How much is the price?" I said, "Whoa, like I'm glad you want to know what the price is, but like I don't even know if it's a good fit for me." And then he was like, all of a sudden, like, "Oh yeah. Like I closed 90% of my jobs and all this stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, like you seriously have to treat it like I'm picking you, like you're not picking me."
Right. You're not, yes, you have to shift it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah,
So
I did that. I flopped. I had these ones, they're a whole bunch of block walls that I was trying to sell in Arizona, and I totally like flopped and had so many business owners ghost me because
yeah.
it was literally like just throw up all over them and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you want to know the price? Well, the price is going to be blah 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 blah," and then they'd be like, "Look."
I know, it's so true. So yeah, just
Yeah.
be careful with that. Like, be confident in yourself. Like, do all you can, but like, and it's hard for me to. But just follow what we said in the group. Like, watch whatever you learn. Like, just do it to a T, because I promise you, like what we're talking about, like it's funny because it's exactly how it is. Like, it's not like we're trying to sugarcoat it or anything. Like, we're
Right.
literally trying to. You're dating your business owner. Like, you're trying to play this game with them and try to sell them on it. So.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, someone said, what's your current client cycle? Meaning, how long are you retaining clients? Yeah, have you had a problem with that? Like, or is the turnaround fast, or have you had some for a while?
I've had everybody for a pretty long time. I think the newest one I got dropped on landscape, landscape designer. And I'm looking for another business owner. Um, oops, sorry.
No,
Um, but everybody else has been with me for a while. So like my hoarding crime scene cleanup, he's been with me since 2015. And we've just shifted because he also was another one who was paying me commission.
right.
And it was like, at first he was like super excited and grateful, and I was getting like $3,000 checks. And then it dwindled down to like a couple hundred, or months where they're like, "Oh, we haven't closed anything."
Right.
So I've been with him for a while, but I've transitioned him over to pay per call, and I'm revamping some of the sites and doing some more SEO, and I'm going to switch him over to flat fee. I'm hoping within the next month or two. My VAs and I have been working pretty diligently on the sites, so we'll get him moved over. And then, like I said, I have charter bus that will probably be, hopefully, I'm trying to close him right now. We're gonna have a conversation today, so hopefully it works out
Okay.
well.
Okay. Keep us updated.
I will.
That's awesome. So, And someone else said backlinks are important or quality content gives top. Both are important, and I can't really pronounce your name. I don't even want to try it, but yes, both are very important. I think. I mean, it depends on the area too. Like sometimes, I have areas right now that I'm trying to rank, and it's a little bit tricky because it was like my first ones, and I wasn't doing a very good job at due diligence, and so like it's going to be a little bit harder. But now I'm realizing, man, I would already had it ranked number one if I would have just like done a little bit better job, you know? So both are important in answering this guy's question, but I mean, it depends on the area.
So I think that's why I have a hard time though as well letting go of like the keyword research,
Uh,
because I've really dialed that in, and it's just so I've realized. So when Nick did the interview with Shiv, and Shiv was like, taking these really big like SEO deals. And he was like, it's simple. Like, you want to rank, you just keep adding backlinks until you're number one. I'm like, oh my God, it's so simple, right? It is. Like, we overcomplicate things. So, good keyword research, great content, do more than the competitors, and good quality backlinks.
mhm.
It's simple. And we just like overcomplicate things. Like, just keep adding to it until you've outranked your competitor.
Yeah. I mean, you're not changing anything, but the biggest thing is like they just have more than you. Like, what if you're not ranking
Exactly.
number one? It's like they're just better. Or sometimes the domain, the age of it does matter. Like, there's just a lot of things
Right.
that doesn't that matters, but just keep adding.
Yep.
I love that. That's perfect. Someone said, "How do you deal with a few scattering leads calling before you have a BO hook?" I've just been telling them I'm helping out answering the calls, and I have the owner give him a call back when they're available, and then get their project info. So I'll give you my 2 cents, and then I'll let Mayo give hers. So basically, how I would do it is I always say, hey, I get their information because you got to answer the lead. Like I think the sooner you answer your lead, the hotter it's going to be for your business owner. Like if you don't call them back for days and days, well, one, they're like, wow, this business owner took forever. And it's going to be harder for your business owner to close them. So I always take their info and I always say, hey, like, can I get back to you in such and such day? Like I try to like kind of like push it out a little bit because then hopefully I'll get another lead and then I can hook the business owner and go on. Because my thing is I've had too many times where I've gotten one lead and then I send it over to my business owner and I don't get another lead for like a week. And I'm like, well,
Right.
that's like I need to send it more than one. And so I just push it back. Just say, hey, let me call you next Wednesday, or like in not maybe not next Wednesday, maybe not a week, but like let me call you in 2 or 3 days. We're finishing up some jobs, whatever, and it gives you kind of time to like buffer them, get their information so they feel like they're on the list, and then pass it over as soon as you can. And I know there's a plenty of ways to do it. That's just what I found that works for me. But how do you do it, Mayo? Like if someone calls you and have a BL.
So I pretty much do the same thing. Um, and it's tricky. So if I've pre-built a website and leads are just trickling in here and there, um, giving a business owner a call and just let them know more leads would be coming in if they'd like it. And at that time, I always go for pay per call until the site is there, and make the flat fee more appealing than the pay per call. So if, they're paying, like $45 a lead, and then you're producing a good amount after a certain amount of time, then you can move them over to a flat fee. Like you have to like position it to where it's like in their best interest. But it's hard in the beginning, like when you're just starting an SEO and you're just getting like a few leads trickling in. But most time, like, so this has kind of been our deal with landscaping. It was for Las Vegas landscaping, and it's competitive, and it's super competitive. So we're having a hard time getting it into a top position. And so I think that's probably why business owners keep ditching us, was because it's just a lead or two a week.
Mhm.
So it's maybe not enough business where they don't see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
So, it's just part of doing business though. Like some leads trickle in and some things just take off on fire.
Yeah. And just undersell it. Like I have oversold a site or two of my own, and I end up losing my client a lot faster than I thought because they call me and they're like, "Well, I've only gotten 14." and to me, I'm like, that's good, but like
Right.
I maybe expected, like I kind of told them like, oh, you're gonna get plenty of leads, like, and maybe they're not as good as not as good at closing as they should be, and so it kind of like backfires on me. So I mean, just undersell it. Like if you're getting a couple leads,
Right.
say, like, just tell them how it is. Say, oh yeah, like I'm just getting some calls in here. Say, I'm trying to, I guess this is more for the business owner. Like if you have a business owner and they're worried about the leads, just say, hey, like I'm trying to find the best fit here. Like I'm get the lead, as the leads come in, I'm trying to pass them to such and such business owners to see who works for me. And that's true. Like you don't need to lie, but like hopefully
Right.
your eyes are looking elsewhere, not just focusing on one client, unless you think it's going to go somewhere. But I've done that before. I've just said, hey, like I just they're just coming in slow. Like
Yeah.
get 10 leads one day. Some days you get 3 and some days you get 0. Like it's throughout the month.
Right.
So that's good. Another one, it's advice on hiring VAs.
Um, so because I couldn't commit mentally in my head to hiring full-time VAs, I just use Upwork right now. And I've really lucked out on finding some pretty good work on there. Yeah, they've worked out for me. So I don't have to commit to 40 hours a week, which works out for me mentally in my head. Like to me, to go to onlinejobs.ph, it was too, like, I don't know, too much in my head where I couldn't feel like I could commit to something like that. So right now Upwork's working really well for me for hiring VAs. So I just post my jobs on there. I post pay, go through applications, chat with people, and then hire them for whatever's needed.
So is it like kind of sporadic? Like is it so you don't have to feel like you're too attached to someone? Like because if so, that's what would probably be my fear, is like hiring someone and say, oh, I'm not big enough to have enough work for you to be full time.
Right. So that's kind of where I am. I have one VA. I have her set at 30 hours a week.
Hmm.
She probably averages right now maybe between 16 and 20 hours a week. And that's good for me in my head.
Hmm.
Like I'm comfortable with that right now until I'm ready to take like that next step into hiring somebody more full time and really take it off. But like I had to like work myself into like the whole VA thing anyway because I was so scared to like move to the next step and like letting somebody else do things. Like even my website designer, I'm sure I drove him nuts because I'd go back in and like re-edit the website and he'd be like, "Did you change this?" I'd be like, "Yes."
Sorry about that. I didn't like it.
Sorry, I didn't like the way that looked. Even though he does really beautiful work, but it's just I have like control issues. So so I've found like really good VAs, some not so good, some try and like get more money out of you and stuff like that. But you just gotta like go through applications and chat with them. And I found some pretty good workers on there. There's some that I think I will stick with for a while.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I hope that answers your question, John. That was good. That was even good for me too. Um, okay, Brock says, is LLC mandatory? What about legal disclaimers to CYA? No, I mean I didn't even set up an LLC for a while. Like so some people, like I've had business owners where they're like, so what's your business name? And like, well, do you want to send me your information? I'm like, okay, dude. Like, first of all, if you don't trust me enough that you need to like have all this information, like I don't want to work with you anyways. So, and I've said that before. I'm like, dude, like we haven't even gotten that far. Like, let's take one step at a time, and
Right.
we can talk more about that later. But you don't need that. Like,
You don't.
you don't. And a lot of times, like we focus a lot on like contracts and like pushing that contract, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna. I don't think I'm ever gonna like sue
Hold them
someone.
to it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like
Exactly.
a lot of it is just like to have it because it's like Nick always says, it's harder to get out of a marriage than it is like dating, right? So it's like you're
Right.
basically kind of like them
More
committing to
commitment.
you. Yeah, more commitment. But like at the end of the day, you're not going to press charges. And what are they're going to charge you for 1,500 bucks? Like it's going to cost more for an attorney than it is
Right.
worth for what you just like. No one's going to worry about it. Like that's not even.
Right.
But for if you need that to like give you more confidence, then that's fine too. But I mean, you don't need that until I would say you're getting a couple deals.
So I just opened an LLC, but I've worked because I'm taking this more serious now and using this as my main source of income.
Mm,
So I did start an LLC, but I've had been doing lead generation for years without one.
yeah.
And I like revamped my website. So I'm working on generating leads for myself now as well. Um, which I had like another eye opening. Like, I generate leads for all these other businesses. Why don't I start generating leads for myself?
Yeah.
So I've been working on that with my content writers as well and my website designer.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
there's so many opportunities with what we're doing. I just think Joe Rogan said it best. He said, you can basically be rich at anything just if you freaking just put the work in. Like and that's really what it comes down to, is like just persevering, like doing the steps correctly. And a lot of you maybe in this group are like, well, dude, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but you're probably leaving something out. Like, and it's hard to say, but like you're watching the content, but like you're having to go to this point, to that point, to this point, rather than
Right.
like, let's give you everything. And then here it is. And then like step 1, 2, and 3, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
And there's just a learning curve in this business in general. And you have different shifts through different phases of your business where you'll get something and something clicks and you're like, oh my God, I get it now. Like, this is what I should be doing. So, that's why I even like going in our group and watching Nick's lives, because I have moments where I'm like, I get this. So like, one was like hiring VAs, where I'm like, if I'm going to scale this business, I cannot do this all on my own. I need to hire VAs. And then another one was like Shiv saying, you want to be in number one, just keep adding backlinks every day until you're in the top position. I'm like, duh, it's so simple, but we don't think about stuff like that. So it's just different shifts you have in business as you've been doing it. And the longer you go through it, it just business shifts, your mindset shifts, and things just change. And you get certain things at different times.
yeah, it's so true. Well, and I'm not going to take credit, because Nick was the one that said, he's like, stop worrying about these sites that you've had for 4 years. Like they're not sold. Like, stop worrying about it. And I rewatched that over and I was like, that's what I've been doing. It's been a while and I've been doing multiple things. Like I'm farming. So like I'm doing this and then I'm trying to sell deals. And I'm like, I just need to start over. Like I'm at this point where it's like, I'm in a funk. If you're in the funk, just let it sit there, come back to it,
Right.
start over. And that's when it was like an aha moment. And so yeah, I think go rewatch this stuff. Like I know you've watched videos over and over, but like to people in this group, go rewatch it. Like go rewatch some of the videos that Nick's have done, because like, yeah, I know what he teaches, but like a lot of the stuff he's teaching, he tells you in the whole training. Like he literally is giving you nuggets that you're just kind of overthinking because you watch it once and you overthink it.
Right.
So just I don't know, like be dumb, like really just be dumb. Like if I
Keep
can
it
sell
super
something.
simple.
Nick always says I can't read. I honestly can't. So I'm selling too. So like you guys can get deals too. Like I really, there's no doubt about it. Like there's some people in this group that it's crazy that we're all selling with the dynamic, our personalities, but like it's for everybody.
Right. You just have
But
to stick with it and
yeah,
avoid shiny object syndrome.
yeah, that's so true. I know the
It's,
grass is always greener.
it's doing the boring things day in and day out. And I'm working on being comfortable with doing the boring crap every single day and being consistent.
Yeah,
I think that's where I was messing up years ago. And I could have been further ahead had I just focused and not looked at other shiny objects and had belief in this business and belief in myself, and just worked at it day in and day out and been consistent.
yeah. Well, even just talking to you, like I haven't talked to you before this, but like I feel like you're a lot more confident. Like just talking to you, like you know what you're talking about. You're confident in the process, and I think like I can feel it. There's no doubt that your business owners can feel it too. You know,
Right.
so I think the more you do it, the better you get, and the more confident you get. So.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks, Mayo. Well, I appreciate it. And if you guys have questions, hit her up or hit me up. But thanks for joining us. We ended with 16 people. We'll take it. I had like 4 at the beginning, so when you hopped on, we really cranked the numbers up. So appreciate it.
Cool. Right on.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.